name's Artemis, and if there's one subject that can get a bit dicey in terms of how we are represented, it's what furries are like in the media. And before we delve all into this, I suppose I should say thank you to my lovely wannabe Popufur patron right here, Johnny Bunn, because this was a suggestion of his and something that, you know, being a wannabe Popufur, I actually took his opinion on board and listened, as opposed to the rest of you who I mostly just scroll through. If you're not inflating my ego, then what the fuck am I going to listen to you at the end of the day? But yes, it's a good little subject that I reckon I can delve into, rip the shit out of, and prove once and for all that I am a smart, educated collie. So furries in the media seem to get quite a bad rap, and I mean, it's kind of understandable. We're not exactly the most accessible or vanilla interest for the general public to swallow, and considering there's a decent majority of those in this fandom that fantasize about being swallowed, it's easy to understand why. I mean, you look at the standard baby boomer, for God's sake. They're still struggling with their congenital racism and homophobia. How fucking terrifying is a 6-foot-tall sparkle dog fuckboy going to be? And us furries seem to have a hard time finding our balance in the media, but why is that? Well, the furry fandom is, at the end of the day, a large group of people, hugely diverse. We have generosity, kindness, we have creativity, originality, and also some of the most disturbing NSFW artwork that we've ever seen since, well, basically hentai floated across from Japan. Jesus Christ. I mean, we have artists, fursuit makers, vloggers, bloggers, streamers, gamers, podcasters, YouTubers, mersuiters, for fuck's sake. In fact, there are so many of us in this fandom, and it's so widely diverse that how could we ever represent every single facet of it in one simple media-friendly soundbite? And of course, you can interview one person and they can say, yes, I actually am here to create a character and perform. But that's not going to work for everybody. Some of us are sociopaths, some of us are sociophobes, some of us aren't portraying a character, we're actually enacting who we really are underneath it all. And yes, of course, some of us dress up in these suits basically looking to get every hole filled. Ugh. When you look at things like that, how could the media ever show us in a positive light? How could they ever focus on just one thing without showing everything else that goes along with it? And so they're faced with a choice. Do they show just one thing and pretend the rest doesn't exist, or do they show the entire fucking thing and show just exactly how sordid parts of our community really can get? But then again, they're really fucking consistent with this shit anyway. Case in point, here we have a little article from Penn Live detailing how amazing Anthrocon is, how it brings so much money to the economy, how businesses do so well out of it, how they raise so much money for charity. It's a great thing. Yay, furries! Furries are fucking amazing and we should invite them to our cities more often. But wait a second, hang on. How come when New Milford Councilman Scott Chamberlain was discovered to be a furry, he faced backlash to the point he had to resign from his fucking job? How come he wasn't celebrated as one of these amazing people who can keep their personal life separate from their professional life and yet still somehow contribute to society in both? How come he wasn't shone in the light of, well, he's one of these furries that does so well for the economy, they raise loads of money for charity? How come he suddenly had the little light of, he's a disgusting fucking animal-suited pervert? How come that was shone upon him? Why is there a double standard? Why can't you have one little assumption put towards another? And these articles are only 2 months apart. Are you telling me that things changed that much in 2 months? When have furries ever done something so wrong so quick? Okay, I heard it as I said it, I understand. Yeah, fair enough. But still, it seems a little fucking unfair to the guy, right? But yes, you see, sometimes the media likes to stick to little tricks when it comes to us furries. They like to make out that we're all just animals, and they like to highlight little unflattering animal behaviors like, do you go and hump legs? Do you sniff each other's asses to say hello? And yeah, don't get me wrong, there's probably some lewd bastards out there that love that shit, but not all of us, and that's not what the whole thing's about. We shouldn't just be pigeonholed with that stupid fucking assumption. And they're quite clever as well, they know what they're doing. They'll hide little phrases and remarks in what they're saying just to get their real point across. Let's take a look at long-time suffering Irish TV presenter Eamon Holmes. He's Irish, he doesn't present Irish TV. He's on the set of Good Morning here with the London Furs. I think most of us have seen this interview. See if you can pick up on the slight snide little remark that he's trying to slip under the radar here.
There's no knots in them, there's no stains, there's nothing. You're incredibly clean and lovely.
Stains. Don't hide behind that fucking phrase, Eamon. Just come out and say it. Oh, it doesn't look like you're fucking them suits because I can't see any white stains on the crotches. Apart from Dexy, he's all white. I suppose that's pretty good for hiding shit like that. And then it was earlier on in the interview where he throws out this little gem.
Do you talk in your voice or do you talk in animal voices?
It depends, really.
And everybody has a good laugh at it, mostly because it's the same old shit we're always used to dealing with. We have to batter off that question the whole time. Underneath the head, underneath the fursuit, we're just sitting there going, Oh, for fuck's sake, we're dealing with this fucking stuff again, are we? Instantly, we're put on the back foot and forced to defend the fandom against some bullshit assumption they pulled out of their arse. Also notice how through most of the interview they have this little tagline quote that says, "We're fans of fur, but it's not a fetish." Okay, I'm not an expert here on psychology or anything like that, but I'm fairly certain, let's say hypothetically, I've never seen furries in my life. I turn on the TV, oh look, it's Good Morning. There's Eamon Holmes and he's with some weirdos dressed up in animal costumes. Let's see what's going on here. First time I'm seeing it, first time I'm experiencing this in my life, and in the bottom corner of the screen is the word fetish. And yes, it's joined with a whole sentence, but I'm fairly certain someone's going to have a little link in their head that the first time they saw furries on TV, the word fetish was just hidden there in the corner. That slight little association is all it fucking takes, and suddenly it's a sex thing. Also, pro tip, if you're a furry and you end up in the media, don't use the fucking word fetish, for God's sake. Even if you're trying to defend us, don't even let them have it. But to give them credit, the London First did a brilliant job of representing the fandom in the best way possible, and they carried across that attitude of, yeah, it's weird, so what, in the best way they ever could, and that served us so well. Special shout out goes to Ed the Poodle for shooting down a difficult targeted question in probably the best way possible.
You're a she, why did you want to become a he?
Why not? You can be anything. I'm already a dog. I mean, I might as well be a boy dog. It's just part of self-expression. And
beautifully fucking done. Well done. Bravo. And you try and turn that one around on us, Eamon, you bastard. But sometimes it's not always their fault. Let's be honest, us furries don't always paint the most flattering image of ourselves. Current circumstances excluded. Here we have an episode of hardcore porn, which yes is a filthy, dirty pun and an actual TV show name. And we got some fursuiters coming in to sell some silver.
Hello. This is Cody Collie. Back here, this is Frisbee. This is Gimno the raccoon, and this is Blizzard the wolf.
It all starts off fairly whimsical. They love showing shots of people looking shocked and appalled at what the fuck is going on. The handler does a decent job. They don't use the label furries. They're not going to a convention. It's a sporting event. Don't want to have anybody Googling that stuff. And then, of course, they throw up this little turd nugget.
I'm not sure how you, but you really smell.
Wet dog.
Oh, but don't you worry, it gets better. There's plenty of little shots of this saleswoman full on whipping into these poor, unsuspecting fursuiters.
Okay, you know as well as I know that they talk. They're just dressed up. Get over yourself.
They finally make the sale, and then she makes this very salient point.
I hope the dogs were happy. Next time, please just come in like your human attire, because I don't like being barked at.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. It's not a common or acceptable thing, really, to have just random fursuiters turning up to sell some shit and then howling at the end of it, for fuck's sake. And now I'm fully certain that these suitors were told, hey, come on the show, it'd be really fun, it'd be really cute, it'd be great to have you on, yeah, we're gonna do a nice little piece. And then, of course, they were just used and twisted, but still, they must have sensed that the wind was blowing in a different direction at some point.
Artemis, are you filming whilst taking a shit?
No, of course not. My jeans are still on, for fuck's sake, and the lid's down. Of course I'm not having a shit and recording a fucking video. I just thought it would make a better angle, for God's sake. We don't have a lot of places in this house to shoot.
Well, you really thought that on your phone, on the toilet, was an actual good choice. Maybe cut back to somewhere a little bit better.
Okay, I guess we're cutting back to something else now, then. And of course, we can't really mention furries in the media without going through one of the most recent and yet balanced and positive little interviews that we've had in the media world, and that's the Channel 4's documentary, World of Weird. World of Weird was a Channel 4 documentary series that basically sent out their willing presenters to experience the weirdest shit that their millennial internet-savvy researchers could find. That included things like professional apologizers in Japan, cock-themed festivals, Boomer the dog, and of course us furries, not to cast a fucking association between all four of those things. But this time, instead of looking at these things and going, that's fucking weird, Channel 4 did a good job of looking at them going, it's a bit weird, but here's why I can understand it. And we actually got a fair shake this time. They start off with a reputable fursuit maker, someone everybody knows I'm very certain was incredibly fucking happy for the boost in their business from this. And as luck would have it, in a totally unplanned way, they've got someone here to pick up a fursuit, and they have a spare fursuit for the presenter. How's that for weirdness?
Don't you just want to give him a hug? Yeah, I do.
Now it's my turn to get foxy.
Yeah!
What do you think?
I love it. It works very well on you. Wag wag.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm converted.
You see, it works so damn well on her. She seems to understand the mindset, she seems to understand the feel of it. She seems actually pretty fucking good in fursuit, even though she's in a hot part of the country as well. Feel like we should cut to a bunch of basic furs getting all salty that some presenter got their fursuit in seconds and they're waiting for a long ass time, you know, to get a job and pay for one. They go to a fur meet, cue up a little montage of fursuiters out and about dancing and whatnot, which is pretty tastefully done, and then it's on to a couple of little one-shot interviews with people about why they're in the fandom and how they got into it and what it actually means to them.
But this is something that we're passionate about. Just being able to, like, please a crowd like this, showing up and bringing a smile to everybody's face.
What's the main appeal of doing this for you?
Honestly, it's the community. The community is the #1 thing.
Overall, this is one of the most balanced and fair representations of us because they don't go into it with any preconceptions. They don't go into it with some warped perspective looking like, ha, I bet they all fucking suits. Hey, how about we make out that they fucking suits? They don't go into it looking for a punchline. They go into it basically looking to throw themselves into the fandom and see what exactly it's about. And this is actually one of the very few times that we got to sit down as a fandom, look at ourselves on TV and go, holy shit, we don't need to feel embarrassed about that. I can show this to my fucking friends and not have to describe it in graphic detail about why that's wrong, about how they got things wrong. They did a good job on this one, and I had a hard time finding anything to be salty about, really. Fucking irritating, if you tell me. You see, of course, the media can be one of our greatest friends, but they can also just end up using us as a punchline, ready to slam us down for, oh, look how weird these people are. Look at these grown adults who dress up as animals. What a bunch of fucking freaks. And I mean, I get it. I mean, we're not all PG and family friendly. We don't conform to what society would say is normal. And I mean, for some of us, that's part of the attraction. That escapism into something where we're all fucked up in the head is actually quite enticing, but yeah, it's easy to understand why the general public and of course the general media are going to look upon that and go, what the actual fuck is going on? And of course, it's no wonder that furries are obviously wary of the media. Never really want to go near them, never really trust them because they can't be trusted. But then again, that's pretty much the media in a nutshell. I mean, these are the people that run smear campaigns. They take political sides and start arguments over the tiniest of little things. So, I suppose ultimately, if we can't go to the media and expect a fair trial and expect a fair representation, and aren't we just like everybody else? Aren't we just like any politician that steps up to the plate and gives out their policies, and then suddenly their hat looks a little bit too fucking Russian so they can't be taken seriously? Ultimately, we're probably given the fairest turn at the media that we're ever going to get because they fuck us over just as much as they fuck everybody else over. Or maybe, just maybe, we should learn not to let certain people in front of the camera because they're not going to represent the best parts of our community or give us a fair trial. And maybe, just maybe, we should recognize when a show is just going to use us as a fucking punchline rather than having a look at us and go, let's explore this subculture and give a fair, balanced report on it. Nah, at the end of the day, most of them are going to have a decent look at it and go, ha, I bet I can trick one of them into saying he wanks in the fursuit. I mean, it's obviously entirely possible that going forward we have a nice little positive view of the fandom from the media, but it's also possible in a week's time there's going to be a news report on how one of us got taken down for being a paedophile or something. Again. But you can't escape that sort of shit. When you have any group of people, the traits of people will come out. We can't hide the fact that we have bad members of our community that bring us all down. I mean, fuck, look at the dickhead who threatened to shoot up MFF. Look at the dickhead who tried a chlorine attack at Anthrocon. We can't help that shit. People are cunts. So if we are made of a group of people, we're going to end up having some cunts as part of the group. But hey-ho, I'm sure we can get the good to out... Well, probably not. Fucking it. Let's just try not to embarrass ourselves too fucking much in front of NBC and whatever, or whatever the American ones are. I would say let's not make a joke out of ourselves in front of the BBC, but ha! BBC's a fucking joke anyway.